Greetings, Bowtie Guy 85 here, and today we are going to be discussing men's fragrances. We're going to help you decide which fragrance is the best for you, and we are going to demonstrate how to properly wear your cologne. So yeah, there are tons of options out there, and it can be very overwhelming, especially when you see the wide variety that there is in men's fragrances. But I am here to help you navigate through that. And to do so, we're going to break it down into 4 basic categories. So first and foremost is personal preference. What smells good to you? What do you like? Maybe you've encountered somebody who had a scent that you liked. Maybe you encountered somebody who had a scent you didn't like. That can help you kind of narrow down which scent is going to be the best for you. So yeah, it's really important. You should wear something you like. Don't worry about what anybody else is wearing. Don't worry about like what your favorite celebrity wears, or you see the guy in the magazine and you think, oh, he looks good, I should try that cologne. You really want to find something that you like. Next is occasion. Some fragrances are good for some occasions, some not so much. Some are more appropriate than others depending on what you're using it for. We also want to consider alternate fragrance options. So there's cologne, there's perfume, but then you also have there's body lotions that are sometimes scented. You also have aftershaves that can kind of work as a fragrance, essential oils. So that's something we want to consider. And lastly is price. What are you willing to spend on this fragrance? Keep in mind, you don't have to spend a ton of money to smell good. Even something as cheap as like a $15 bottle of bod spray, worn correctly, can be effective. So I mentioned personal preference. We're going to start with that. So I suggest that you do a little research. Now I briefly discussed, if you work with somebody and you like what they have on, maybe somebody at the gym has something on you like, or maybe you encounter somebody that has something on you don't like. Feel free to ask, hey, I like that, what are you wearing? Even if it's something you don't like, you don't want to insult the person. And then make a note of that. Okay, he's wearing such and such brand cologne, I'm going to keep an eye out for that. Or, oh, he says he's wearing Old Spice. Okay, I'm going to avoid that. And then sample. You can find free samples in magazines. You just pull a little tab open, rub a little on, see how you like it, wear it for a couple days, see if you get a reaction from anybody, good or bad. You can also always send away in the mail for like those tiny little sample bottles, which I really like. They're good to keep around for emergencies. If you're away from home and you want to just give yourself a little refresh. And they last a while. You also want to pay attention to the ingredients. What is this fragrance made of? Make sure it doesn't have anything in it that you may be allergic to. The worst thing would be to finally decide on a bottle you spent a good amount of money on and you've got so much of it, and after the first application you notice you've broken out in hives or some kind of rash or some irritation. That is no good. So it's good to look out for that as well. Now as far as occasion goes, there are some strong fragrances and there's some more mild fragrances. So some of them work better for certain occasions than others. So like for the office place, if you're working around others, you're interviewing, you're doing meetings, you're doing presentations, you don't want anything that's too strong. I've worked with people in the past, I don't know exactly what they wore, but it was aggressive and they had way too much of it on. If you can smell somebody from way across the room, you either have on the wrong kind of fragrance for where you are, what you're doing, or you're wearing way too much of it. So for the office, I like to wear something, this is Bespoke by Joseph Abboud. It's very mild. It has, there's that air of like masculinity to it, but then it has a softness too, like a perfume. And you really want to find the right balance. You don't want anything that is too floral or kind of smells like your grandma's house. You don't want anything that's too strong and like manly. You want something that's just kind of says, hello, how are you doing? As opposed to a more aggressive fragrance that's like, hey, listen to me, I'm talking to you. Like, yeah, a lot of times we can put people off just by how we smell, or we can kind of attract the right attention with what we're using. Now, your more aggressive scents, if that's you, your Old Spices, your Brutes, some of your aftershaves, Aqua Velva, if that's even still a thing, some of your Ralph Lauren Polo, Diesel, I think. You really want to control how much you use. I'll be going over applications toward the end of the video, but these fragrances are good in stronger doses for certain occupations, certain types of people. So if you're somebody who is like a gym rat and you go to the gym, you work out several hours, you get drenched in sweat. Sweat is probably one of the most abhorrish scents. And maybe you want to go out, you don't have time to completely shower and clean up, but you want to at least kind of mask the scent. those are fragrances are great for that. Let's say you work in a restaurant, a lot of onions, a lot of grease, and it kind of gets on you. That's a good cologne to wear for that because it's going to really cover up a lot of those scents. Mechanics, day laborers, factories, any kind of rough, rugged kind of job where you're getting greasy, dirty, the sense of the trade. Those are really good fragrances to complement or cover up some of what you're doing. Or, you know, if you just overall enjoy that kind of more aggressive scent, but again, make sure you tone it down. And then, you know, if you're doing some of the alternative scents, which we're going to get into, there's body lotions, which used to kind of be like a female thing, Bath and Body Works, but now they have a large selection for men. Some of it can even be like face creams or any kind of like moisturizers. There's a lot of different scents out there now. So those are options to look into, because then you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. If you have any kind of skin things going on, dry hands or cracked skin, you can kind of double up with the fragrance that way. And again, you know, you want to check the ingredients, make sure it's not anything you're allergic to. The aftershaves, again, you're killing two birds with one stone. I get razor rash really bad, so aftershaves are great. And those are all scented generally. So you can kind of check that out as well and see if those are some options you like. And those are usually, you just kind of like shake it on, you can kind of massage it in, and you can kind of smell it right away. Essential oils. So this one's a little different. So what's interesting about the essential oils is some of them have somewhat of a healing property to them. I use lavender myself sometimes because I get rosacea really bad in between here. My skin gets really dry and red and flakes. So it helps with the skin, but then you also have that kind of aroma of the lavender, and it kind of invigorates the senses. There's different citrus oils. There's mint and like chamomile and jasmine, all kinds of different herbs. Some are good for like energy, some are good for like headaches, general body aches, some is good for like the skin, like I mentioned, the lavender. Some of the oils like mint is good for like the sinuses, you know, during cold season. So some of those, that's an option to explore as well. So you might want to look into that. You might say, oh, you know, I have issues sometimes with these things, and I like that scent. So that's an option. We're going to discuss price. So, you know, some people make the mistake of, you know, they buy the name and they've spent all this money, but really, like this here that I wear, I really enjoy it. Now, it was being discontinued, so I got a great deal on it. It was like, I think like $40. But once you start getting into like 60, 70, 80, even $100 or $120, you're really just paying for the name. You don't have to spend that kind of money to smell great. I already mentioned it earlier, but you can take like a $15 bottle of Bod spray. I mean, I wore that back in college. It was an economical option. And the Bod Black I liked because it had a nice subtlety to it. It wasn't too in your face. Some of the Bod sprays are they're kind of that aggressive scent that I mentioned before. And with that, less is more, so it actually lasts you a while because it's a more aggressive scent. You just spray a little on. You can get a like big bottle of it for like $15. It'll last a while. That's a good option to explore. But I would say anywhere between like $30 to $50 tops, I think, is a good option for a cologne. Anything more than that, and you're kind of, yeah, again, it's all fluff. It's not necessary. Now, if you're sampling fragrances and you happen to just really enjoy the $80 bottle, I'm not going to stop you. And if you're willing to spend that kind of money, go for it. But what I suggest, if you can get samples of the higher dollar fragrances, see if you can get like a little sample of it and hold on to that, and then try and find something more economical that is comparable to the scent that you enjoy, because there are a lot of scents out there that are somewhat similar in some ways. So it helps to kind of do a little research if you want to, you know. And last but not least, application. So I mentioned earlier, sometimes people have the wrong scent on. Either it's too aggressive or maybe you don't notice it at all. And a lot of times it's not because of the fragrance itself, but it's because of how we applied it. So I'm going to show you the proper technique for applying yourself with cologne. So the napes of the neck, right here at the end of the jawline below the ear, these are sensory points for scent. So you'll take the cologne, you give yourself a little spritz there, you give yourself a little spritz there, you're good to go. The wrist is another sensory point. Now what you can do is you can spray just one wrist or spray the other and rub it together. You can also come up here where you sprayed your face and get some of that onto your wrist and then rub it together that way. I'm going to go ahead and add another spritz just to really make it noticeable. So so here's the thing. How much is too much and how much is not enough? So if you're going for something a little more subtle, just enough for somebody to say, ooh, he's wearing something, what is that? I like that. A spritz here, and either just one spritz on the wrist and put it together, or you can spray both wrists, and we rub it together. And why do we do this? This really activates the fragrance and perfumes it and gets it to bloom, and then people don't have to necessarily come up to your wrist to smell it. It kind of fills the room. And then we spray here, and you can kind of rub this in too to kind of activate it. If you're, generally you're about eye level when you're in contact with somebody, so this is a good place to like smell it. Some people, they'll spray a couple in the air and they'll walk through it. No. Or they just spray some on their chest, but then they get dressed, you're covering that up. No. So it's the wrist and it's the neck. Now, if you want to make more of a statement with the fragrance, 2 spritz on the neck, 2 spritz on the wrist, and then really, you're gonna really have more of a forceful smell. And if you if you're so bold, you could do 3, but 3 is almost too much, even with a more mild fragrance like that. Anyways, that's application. That's how to select a fragrance that is right for you. I thank you all for joining me as always. Please like and subscribe, hit me up in the comment section, and until next time.